You open Netflix. You have thousands of things to watch. And 45 minutes later, you've picked nothing. You've scrolled the same row 3 times. You feel vaguely stressed. Maybe a little ashamed. Or you're staring at a restaurant menu. 62 options. You ask for 5 more minutes. Twice. You eventually order what you always order. And you feel vaguely disappointed that you even looked. This happens with playlists. With outfits. With replying to a text. With what to do on a free Saturday. And if someone says, just pick something, it's not that deep. You want to disappear. Here's what I want to tell you. It is that deep. And it is not your fault. There's a precise psychological mechanism behind this. It has a name. And once you understand it, you'll never see your own brain the same way. In 2000, 2 psychologists, Sheena Iyengar and Mark Lepper, ran one of the most famous experiments in behavioral science. They set up a jam tasting table in a grocery store. One day, 24 varieties of jam. Another day, just 6. The table with 24 jams attracted more people to stop and look. But the table with 6 jams generated 10 times more actual purchases. More options. Less action. Psychologist Barry Schwartz later named this the paradox of choice. The idea is counterintuitive. We assume more choice means more freedom. But what it actually creates is paralysis. Because when there are too many options, your brain can't confidently rule any of them out. Every option you don't pick becomes a potential mistake. And the fear of making the wrong choice becomes bigger than the desire to make any choice at all. So you make none. Now, this isn't new. Supermarkets have had hundreds of options since the 1980s. So why does this hit differently for your generation specifically? That's where it gets more interesting. Every generation before yours grew up making low-stakes decisions with real consequences. You picked a TV channel. There were 4. You wanted music. You bought the album, one album. You wanted a restaurant. You walked past one that looked good, and you went in. These were training representatives. Small decisions, real outcomes, feedback loops. Your brain was building a decision-making muscle, slowly, through repetition. Then the algorithm arrived. TikTok doesn't ask what you want to watch. It figures it out. Spotify auto-generates your playlist. Netflix serves you a personalized row before you even think. YouTube autoplays the next video before you've decided if you wanted it. For years, during your most formative years, your brain was not in the driver's seat of your own choices. The algorithm drove. You sat in the back. And that was fine. Until you needed to actually choose something. And the muscle had fewer representatives than it should have. Your brain wasn't lazy. It was outsourced. But there's a second layer. And this one is deeper. For your generation, a decision is not just a decision. It's a declaration of identity. What you watch says something about who you are. What you wear. What music you listen to. Even what you order at a restaurant. Every choice is quietly a performance of self. Shareable. Photographable. Subject to social feedback. Previous generations could pick a TV show and it disappeared into the evening. Nobody knew. Nobody judged. But you pick something, and it might go on your story. It becomes part of how people see you. And you're still figuring out who you are. Psychologist Erik Erikson said the core task of adolescence is identity formation. Trying out different selves. Experiencing friction. Arriving at a stable I. Your generation did this process while being fed an infinite stream of curated identity content. Thousands of aesthetics. Subcultures. Personality frameworks. All served to you, personalized, between the ages of 12 and 20. More vocabulary for identity than any generation before. But more vocabulary doesn't always mean more stability. So when the self is uncertain, every decision feels like it might be the wrong self choosing. Picking the wrong film isn't just picking the wrong film. It feels like evidence. Evidence that you don't know yourself. That's why simple decisions don't feel simple. They are simple. But they're happening inside a person. Still negotiating who they are. Now let's look at what this actually does to your brain. The prefrontal cortex, the decision-making region, burns real metabolic energy every time it runs comparisons. Fine for 1 or 2 decisions. Normal. But here's the problem. Your brain also treats the possibility of a wrong choice as a low-grade threat. And when there's a threat, real or imagined, your amygdala fires. Your stress response activates. Even just slightly. Now you're not just choosing. You're choosing while stressed. Which makes the prefrontal cortex, the part that's supposed to help, less effective. More options triggers more threat. More threat means less clarity. Less clarity makes the decision harder. Harder decisions trigger more threat. And round it goes. Until your brain does the only rational thing left. It exits the loop entirely. You close the app. You say, I'll decide later. You pick what you had before because it's known. Safe. Requires nothing. That is not laziness. That is your brain protecting itself from a loop it correctly identified as unresolvable. There's one more mechanism worth naming. Schwartz identified 2 types of decision makers. Maximisers, people who need to find the objectively best option. And satisficers, people who find something good enough and move. Maximisers have significantly higher rates of depression and anxiety. They spend more time deciding, feel worse about their final choice, and are more likely to regret it even when it was objectively fine. And who trained an entire generation to maximize? The internet. Every platform shows you what's top rated, most popular, recommended for you. You can always find out what the best option supposedly is. Which means settling for anything less feels like a personal failure. You're not being dramatic. You were trained to compare everything against an infinite benchmark that doesn't actually exist.
So, what do you actually do with this? 3 things. Not life hacks. Genuine reframes. 1. Become a satisficer. Stop trying to find the best option. Find a good enough one. For low-stakes decisions, give yourself 30 seconds. Film, food, outfit. 30 seconds. Decide. Move. The decision is almost never as consequential as your brain is treating it. Train your brain on that truth, repeatedly, until it believes you. 2. Separate identity from choice. When a decision feels disproportionately heavy, pause. Ask, am I afraid of picking wrong? Or am I afraid of being wrong? Those are different problems. Picking the wrong film is a 15-second problem. It solves itself. Feeling like you are fundamentally a person who picks wrong. That's an identity story. And it has nothing to do with the film. 3. Reduce your options on purpose. The most decisive people deliberately constrain their choices. Not because they lack imagination. Because they understand. That decision energy is finite and they protect it for things that actually matter. A default order. A go-to genre. A 3-outfit rotation for low-energy days. These aren't signs of a boring personality. They're signs of someone who understands their brain. Your brain was trained by an environment that demanded maximum, infinite comparison. Understanding that isn't going to instantly fix it. But the next time you're staring at a menu for 10 minutes, feeling weirdly ashamed about it, you'll know what's actually happening. And that's where it starts to change. If this helped you understand yourself even slightly better, that's exactly why I make this.